Man, I'm not gonna lie, until a couple of weeks ago, I completely lost track of Shantae and the Seven Sirens. You remember, last year I did a round 2 on Half-Genie Heroes Ultimate Edition to commemorate the coming release of this game. But then I learned that part of it was being released for the Apple Arcade because they got some sort of timed exclusive deal, and I think they got the rest of it later. And then out of nowhere I find out, oh hey, the full thing's getting released at the end of May. It just snuck up on me. It certainly doesn't feel like there was a whole bunch of hype for this one, but that's based off what I've seen through my mind's eye, so I could be wrong on that one. But I also like to think a big part of all that is just because of the current climate we live in. Everything we've gone through this year, I'm speaking in terms of the world and everything that's happening in the country at the time this video's upload, our minds are preoccupied with more important shit, let's be real here. That said, without going too deep into it, I'll be leaving some links in the description below leading to some charitable organizations that can really use your help at this time. And remember, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. I don't know how to segue past that, so let's just jump into the latest game in the Shantae series, Shantae and the Seven Sirens. Not sophisticated at all, I can tell you that, not winning awards for that anytime soon. I review video games for a living.
Look at this, got a highly energetic intro going on here, animated by Studio Trigger no less. Good for way forward, but yeah, it definitely screams Studio Trigger. I like their work, but Christ, sometimes it's hard to keep track of things with how in your face their animation is. Also, this intro is sort of misleading because at no point do you ever control Sky, Bolo, Roddy Tops, or even Uncle Mimic. It would have been more appropriate if this intro was used to promote that Friends to the End DLC from Half-Genie Hero. This game has several animated cutscenes throughout the journey. Now I think these were done in-house, but they're still pretty good. Production values for these games are getting better and better by the year, but at some cost I take it. There are a lot of loading screens in Seven Sirens, particularly when you're moving between two interconnecting areas. They're not exactly quick, and they also chug my computer something fierce. So I'm playing the PC version for this review, and I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but every time I get to a loading zone or whenever I finish a boss, my computer starts fucking screaming trying to run the game. And I don't know what to make of it. Is it not properly optimized or some kind of bug in the coding? Is it better on consoles? I didn't feel like double dipping for the sake of this video, so I honestly don't know. If it is, then you're better off getting the game on the PS4, Xbox One, or the Nintendo Switch. And God almighty, why did they still insist on the half-baked voice acting? This is something Half-Genie Hero had a problem with too. The voice acting itself is good, but they only voice certain lines during dialogue, and it is so goddamn distracting and really makes the presentation sound broken. Voice all the lines or don't voice them at all, I think. Can't tell you how many vocals I skimmed over because I wasn't expecting certain lines to be voiced, and I read faster than how the lines are delivered. I want to appreciate the work put into the performance, but I don't know when I'm gonna hear it, so I don't know when to slow down. But anyway, Shantae and the Seven Sirens sees our Half-Genie Hero being invited to Paradise Island to attend the Half-Genie Festival, along with several other Half-Genies in the vicinity. Shantae is quick to make friends with the magical bunch, time for a much-needed vacation, but this is a video game, and vacations are almost always bad news. Sure enough, during the opening night of the festival, the other Half-Genies suddenly vanish, leaving Shantae all by her lonesome. Feeling that the island might be hiding a secret, Shantae takes off to explore the sunken city beneath the island to rescue her new friends. Along the way, she runs into Risky Boots, because of course she does, and she's looking for the island's secret treasure, butting heads with Shantae several times throughout the journey. Shantae soon learns of the Seven Sirens, the true rulers of the island, and the ones responsible for the Half-Genie kidnappings, for they have a bit of a bloodied history with genie encounters, and I guess they wanted vengeance or some other shit. Really, the plot of Seven Sirens is fundamentally solid, but underplayed to an almost frustrating degree and structured in a repetitious fashion. Maybe it was because the game was designed with the episodic nature in mind, seeing it was released in parts for Apple devices firstly, but the product collectively repeats the same beats too often. You encounter and fight Risky Boots the same way like 4 or 5 times. You know, I remember when she used to be the final boss, a penultimate encounter at least, but now it's like she's been demoted to mini-boss minion. We got other Half-Genies, that's great to see. Haven't seen this type of thing since the original Shantae back on the Game Boy Color, where Shantae got her new powers from other genies trapped in these cages. But in this game, sadly, these girls don't go much beyond that. You rescue them from their cage, they give you a new ability, you learn a new fusion dance with them, and then they don't matter much in the story. Lather, rinse, repeat, glorified background characters, and that's disappointing because individually the characters have some fun personality quirks, my favorites being Zapple and Harmony. But the story never goes full throttle, and I feel they're underutilized, especially Harmony. There are seeds planted that make me look forward to the game after this, but you know, kind of want to like this plot while it's here, and I'm not entirely sure if WayForward is actually interested in developing any significant Shantae lore. Given the amount of fun they have with the writing, I like to think so, which makes it so irksome when I feel they don't capitalize. I wanted to like the 7 Sirens more, but they are a major step down in terms of captivating villains. They're just bosses with no personality to speak of, save for the final boss, but that's the final boss, and that took me by surprise because WayForward is normally great in giving villains a fun personality to make them more memorable in the Shantae series. I like to think that's why people like seeing folks like Squid Baron return, or when we see Risky Boots added again, but the 7 Sirens are just statistics that go down with little to no trouble. This whole game is a walk in the park. The drop rate for food items has been overtuned, and that's just a fact. First hour in, I was maxed out on canned tunas, poke bowls, golden crabs, which not only practically act as full restores, but they also restore mana for magic attacks. For something described as legendary, they sure were all over the place. But no, I feel this can't be overstated enough. Enemies drop so much food, it is basically impossible for you to die, and you can progress through the whole game with reckless abandon. Never came close to getting a game over in this, and that's great for introducing newcomers, but anyone who's played any previous Shantae game beforehand will have nothing to worry about and start to feel a little brain dead after a bit. And because you get so much food here, you can sooner spend all those gems you'll be amassing on upgrades in the store. I don't think I was even halfway through my adventure before I cleaned the stores dry, though all the classic power-ups are back as permanent tools to your arsenal, much like in Half-Genie Hero, though I did notice they made mana costs more balanced so that you can't spam these at first. A new thing in 7 Sirens are monster cards. There's a chance a monster might drop one of these when you defeat them, and if I can compare them to anything, think of them like the souls in the Castlevania Sorrow series, or to be more current, the Shards in Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. They are perks that you can equip up to 3 of that can do several things, like making certain attacks stronger, making certain upgrades faster, mana regeneration, climb walls faster. There's a lot here, about 50 of them. Some only cater to specific playstyles, but the large variety ensures you'll find something to fit yours in time. A welcoming new addition, one that I see having amazing potential in the Shantae series, but one that is ultimately not needed in 7 Sirens, given how easy this game is already. I mean, if it's not the overabundance of health items, it's the enemy design not giving you much trouble at all. There's a few that are a slight pain in the ass, namely these dudes that have been a staple since the first game, but this game's idea of a challenge is spamming 2 or 3 of them in a tight corridor, but that's as bad as it gets. Everything else can be cleared out in a matter of seconds with some well-placed hair whips, magic attacks, and your new dances. So let's go ahead and talk about these, and I really want to commend 7 Sirens for this. They finally found a great compromise between Shantae's magical aesthetic and the pirate equipment regarding upgrades and maneuverability. I've gone on and on previously on how much I love the upgrades in Pirate's Curse because of their practicality, despite not being very magical. Half-Genie Hero brought back the animals and a few other novelty dances, and they were fine, but they still weren't as snappy. 7 Sirens gives Shantae a whole different selection of animals to transform into, and they're activated with the simple push of a button, no dancing needed. A newt that can dash in midair and climb up walls, basically the monkey without being the monkey. There's this tortoise that can smash through certain rocks and take off with tremendous speeds horizontally. I don't think it beats the boots from Pirate's Curse, and I really don't like how unruly it is in tight quarters, seeing how it bounces off walls, but I like the speed nevertheless. The octopus I really enjoy too. Nothing much to it, it's just a triple jump, but triple jumps are fun to use, especially in Metroidvanias. The drill and frog transformations are the only 2 I find unremarkable because in essence, they're the same ability. You use one to travel in sand, the other is used to travel in water. They're not used in anything else, so they're easily the most situational and limiting. Dancing has been reserved for these new fusion dances you unlock after rescuing the corresponding Half-Genie. There's a dance that allows you to find hidden treasures, passageways, and platforms so that you can proceed along, one that can restore some health and rejuvenate previously dead things so that you can proceed along, one that energizes certain devices, unlocking new pathways so that you can proceed along, and one that can cause earthquakes and tremors that also unlock new pathways so that you can proceed along. All 4 of these dances are very similar with what they accomplish visually. You press a button to start dancing, you press the right button when it pops up, watch a graphic pop on screen, and then watch something happen. It leaves the concept of dancing in of itself feeling second fiddle, which might anger some purists seeing as how dancing is one of Shantae's core defining elements. She doesn't even have variable dance animations anymore, she only has this one, and it never changes, bearing this one you can see in the game's magic mode. While I'm glad they finally found a means means to give Shantae decent upgrades while tying it to her magical background. I feel there could have been a better way to make these dances more in depth because they don't quite have the same spark as the traditional dances. So correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's implied that the graphics that pop up on screen are these forms that Shantae temporarily becomes to cause an effect. But man, maybe this would have been too ambitious. I think it would have been better if Shantae became these new forms permanently altogether that had their own means of combat and exploration. The animal transformations on steroids is basically what I'm saying here. True, it could possibly go back to the problem I had with the previous games, with them not being so snappy, but the potential is there. Or, just replace the newt, tortoise, frog, or drill with these. Like make the eel form automatically activate when you enter a body of water, or have the plant form automatically activate when you try to climb up walls or ceilings. Imagine controlling this form she takes with the Quake dance, using those fire wings to triple jump or fly for a bit, using that big fucking hammer to break through certain obstacles. Man, I love just thinking about that. Plus, I won't lie, I love this fucking graphic. It's so badass. I want this form of Shantae as a playable character. Make it happen, way forward. But as is, the dances are just a means to cause something to activate so that you can move right along. A very by-the-numbers solution in a game that is very by-the-numbers in design. Shantae and the Seven Sirens harkens back to the original Shantae and Risky's Revenge with the return of the Metroidvania structure and the classic dungeons. I'm very happy to see this design philosophy return, as you know, love me some Metroidvanias. But Seven Sirens is a very bare Metroidvania. There are lots of interconnecting areas. In fact, I think Seven Sirens has the largest map in the series by far. But man, you sure as shit don't do much in it. A lot of areas also feel like one another, leading to one of Shantae's more hollow adventures. You got some changes in aesthetic, of course, and if you weren't big on Half-Genie Heroes 2.5D graphics, Seven Sirens goes back to a more traditional style that I hear looks even better at a 4K resolution. Can't quite confirm that for myself, but higher fidelity or not, most of these areas don't offer much and unique challenges, and much like the original Shantae, since all the important upgrades and tools are bought in shops, the only thing you're really awarded for with exploration is these heart squids that can increase your health permanently, and that's okay, or you can find these gold nuggets that can be used to get exclusive monster cards that are nice but don't have that much significance, seeing as how little the game challenges you to take full advantage of their perks. The dungeons are great, and as I hope to be the case, they're the best part of the game because they offer something unique to the table that the world simply does not. But as I said before, they too have the repetitious moments with the risky battles and how they're set up, and the boss fights against the Sirens are among some of the easiest boss battles in the entire series. Not what I would call a cherry on top of what I already think is a confused and meandering sundae. There are warp rooms in certain spots to help you quick travel to other areas, but I feel there either needed to be more of them, or they needed to be placed in better spots because there's still going to be an unhealthy amount of times where you need to make the long trek back home or to the closest warp area, because this game doesn't have those pirate flares from Pirate's Curse or the warp dance in Half-Genie Hero and the original game that were great in getting back to the central hub when you were done exploring then and there. Without those, you gotta manually make your way back each and every single time, whether it's for a plot important item or one of the many collectibles the game offers that you don't remember if you collected already or where it was initially, because nothing is fucking marked on the map and there's no way to place your own waymarks for future visits. And I can't stress how dumb I think this lack of a feature really is. There were a handful of times where I found myself combing each area more times than necessary because I just couldn't remember where things were, pausing all the damn time using these dances to see what works and what doesn't, and some areas have those annoying impossible to backtrack pathways that don't connect very well to adjacent rooms, and what's even more annoying is that on occasion the game will mark certain things on the map for plot progression, but it's like, why is it so selective? There are so many other Metroidvanias through the years that have done the map better. Shit, Pirate's Curse did it better. So I seriously don't understand why this feels so backwards. Seven Sirens took me about 11 hours to complete the first time, but if I had the ability to mark things myself, or if the game did so more consistently, I'm sure I could have easily removed around 4 hours off of that total game time. I wanted to like this game more, but it's not quite there yet. The new animal forms are great, they're fun to use and more in line with what Shantae can do as a magical belly dancing Half-Genie. The concept of fusion dances has amazing potential, but doesn't amount to much in this game given how they're glorified keys to unlock more progression. I love the return of the Metroidvania format, but the world is not very interesting to explore, there isn't much rewarded to you for your exploration, and the easier than average difficulty because of simple enemy design and the overabundance of food items gives store upgrades in the new monster card system lesser value. There simply isn't much to do with them. It's like they went back to the basics, but in some ways this game isn't that much more in-depth than the original Shantae on the Game Boy Color, or the incomplete Risky's Revenge. Might be a spicy take, as the kids say nowadays, but that's what I feel. Now, I can't say if this was to ensure newcomers would have an easier time jumping in because they wanted to grab that Apple Arcade and iOS player base hook, line, and sinker, but whatever the intention, they overdid it. Unless this game gets some rebalancing, maybe later down the road it gets a patch or an Ultimate Edition with better map features and all that, I don't see myself going back to this one. Had a very empty feeling after reaching the end, and I didn't feel compelled to play the whole game again in the returning magic mode, where you take more damage, but you can use more magic. While that does make the opening hour of the game more intense, again, enemies still drop all those damn food items. It's still really fucking hard to die. The hula outfit is cute, though. Come on, man. You're telling me you give Shantae the hula outfit, but not the battle armor suit in that one part of the game? Was that too obvious? What a jip. But yeah, wait for a price drop. It's not worth the $30 price tag in my opinion.
The ideas are there. The game positively reeks of missed potential, and I'm sorry to say, I still think Pirate's Curse is the queen of the mountaintop. Hell, I think Half-Genie Hero Ultimate Edition is a better time, and it has way more value too. I'm expecting some to disagree with me on that one, but what can I say? I had fun, but I didn't have a lot of fun. Soundtrack could have been a little better too. It's the first Shantae game that didn't have Jake Kaufman involved, and I think it's pretty obvious. There's still some good tunes here, but a good chunk of it was pretty forgettable on first listen, and some went a little overboard with the chiptunes. There just wasn't enough of that exotic flair that I expect from the series. But that will do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, stay safe, wash your hands, have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.